The 1,000-year delay. Again, the 1,000-year delay. Forensic data reconstruction of the Great Library of Alexandria. I myself am a great reader. I love to read because knowledge is power. But it is also how you utilize that knowledge and what you do with it that carries true structural importance. If you control the database of human knowledge, you control the trajectory of human civilization itself. Imagine trying to recover crucial system files from a hard drive that's been melting for over 2,000 years. Mainstream history tells you the burning of the Great Library of Alexandria was an accidental tragedy of war, casualty of Julius Caesar's fire religious mobs. But when you apply data modeling and forensic analysis to the historical ledger, a much darker reality emerges. This wasn't a random accident. Again, this was not a random accident. It was a calculated, systematic sabotage of ancient global intelligence. Today, we are using advanced predictive modeling to digitally reconstruct the lost files of Alexandria, quantifying the exact deficit in human progress left behind by the flames. Data-deletion event, what you call a historic fire, we exposed as the greatest data-deletion event in human history. Section 1, the forensic reconstruction matrix. To understand the true scale of this theft, we have to look at the library not as the dusty rooms of poems, but as the central processing unit of the ancient world. Under Ptolemaic law, every single ship that docked in the harbor of Alexandria was forced to surrender its books. The state copyists would duplicate the text, keep the original in the library database, and give the copy back to the travelers. This was aggressive, state-mandated intelligence gathering operation. When the library was systematically erased, mainstream archaeology claims the data was lost forever because the physical papyrus turned to ash. But the data leaves a footprint. By analyzing the fragmented citations, surviving geometric texts, and peripheral manuscripts presented in isolated mosaic networks, we can run a forensic data reconstruction. We treat these ancient fragments exactly like bad sectors on a corrupted hard drive. By mapping, cross-referencing, we can determine the exact categories of information that were wiped out. We aren't just guessing what was lost, we are calculating the empty slots in the index. And what these empty slots reveal is that the elite scientific achievements of humanity were intentionally targeted to reset the geopolitical playing field. Section 2, the 1,000-year progress deficient. When you apply data modeling into the missing information, you can accurately quantify the mathematical deficient force onto the human development. We call this the 1,000-year progress deficient. Let's look at the raw data. Please, let's look at the raw data. So we know from the surviving fragments of Hero of Alexandria that the Egyptians had already engineered primitive steam engines, automated coin-operated machines, and advanced mechanics. We know from the Antikythera mechanism, a complex analog computer salvaged from an ancient shipwreck, that Hellenistic scientists were mapping out orbital mechanics with gear trains that wouldn't be rediscovered by Western civilization until the 18th century. Now, when Central Archive was wiped out, these blueprints were deleted from the public square. So, by running a predictive timeline model, our analysis indicates that if Alexandria's database had remained open, accessible, and intact, humanity would have cleared the Industrial Revolution by the year 500 AD. Instead, the deletion of this data forced a massive structural reset, or as I say in my book, The Covert Ledger, a global market freeze. But basic calculus, systematic sanitation protocols, and global deep-sea navigation principles were buried in the ash. Humanity was forced to spend a millennium wandering through technological darkness, wasting hundreds of generations manually reinventing tools that had already been mastered, recorded, and indexed on the coast of Egypt centuries prior. Section 3. The cost of the Industrial Reset. This leads to the ultimate question: who benefits from an intelligence reset? In any modern corporate or military audit, when a server is wiped, you look at who gains power from the sudden lack of transparency. Knowledge is power, but centralized knowledge is absolute control. So by eliminating the advanced mathematical, astronomy, and philosophical data stored in Alexandria, the rising institutional powers at the time, the post-Roman world, were able to establish a complete monopoly on human behavior. It is much easier to control a population that has been stripped of its scientific foundation and forced back into an agrarian dependency. The loss of the library wasn't just a loss of literature. It was an economic and technological catastrophe. The cost of having to rediscover basic mathematics and engineering centuries later can be measured in billions of lives lost to preventable plagues, unnavigated oceans, and delayed or agricultural systems. The sabotage of Alexandria successively altered the genetic code of human advancement. The conclusion, the final ledger: true knowledge requires execution. Again, true knowledge requires execution. The data is right in front of us, carved into the surviving fragments of our past, waiting to be audited by those who refuse to accept the standard, watered-down narrative. The fire at Alexandria didn't just burn papyrus, it burned time. It stole 1,000 years of progress from our timeline. Again, it stole 1,000 years of progress from our timeline. So by utilizing data reconstruction and refusing to let the official story override our understanding, we pull those files back from the ash. The case isn't buried. Again, the case is not buried. The data requires a mind sharp enough to connect the dots. Knowledge is power, but only if you have the courage to audit the code. And I'm thankful for having taken in criminal investigations to be able to put the dots together.